Common thing people usually don't know about NFL stadiums is their max capacity is not actually as high as you would think. There's like several college stadiums that are bigger than the biggest NFL stadium, but here's a breakdown of the top 10 NFL stadiums according to capacity, according to size. Sitting at number 10, we have Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Atlanta Falcons. They can hold a max capacity of 71,000. And this is a really new kind of super stadium that's been put in. Falcons did away with the old Atlanta Dome, the old Georgia Dome, and they went with this beautiful Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Just really nice, retractable roof. It's one of the nicest super stadiums within the NFL, but only 71,000 seating capacity. Number 9 is a stadium that is pretty obsolete at this point in Highmark Stadium, home of the Buffalo Bills. Capacity max is 71,608. And this is a very generic stadium, older stadium that you can tell was built a while back, and there's not really much to it. The Bills have already made plans to build a new stadium. Apparently in the new stadium they're still going to have the outside weather effect, but as of right now, this stadium, as rough as it is, it still sits as the 9th highest capacity stadium, 9th biggest stadium. Number 8 is a fairly new stadium, NRG Stadium, home of the Houston Texans. Max capacity 72,220. This stadium has held some Super Bowls before. It's kind of got that super stadium feel. It replaced the Astrodome that sits right next to it still to this day. Really, nice interior on this stadium. I really do like the exterior as well. It's overall pretty solid of a stadium. Overall, though, max capacity 72,220. Really solid stadium, but only a number 8 on this list. Number 7, you go to one of the kind of, I think, most interesting looking stadiums, the Caesars Superdome, that has a max capacity of 73,208, home of obviously the New Orleans Saints. Now this stadium has been renovated several times. It opened in 1975. What I really do like about this is kind of the outside has that kind of cool, effect to it. It doesn't look that new. It looks old. It just kind of looks like a place where, gladiators would fight or whatever. It's a really kind of cool design outside. And then when you go inside, I like how the Mercedes handle kind of dips down. That's a really cool interior effect that they have. Overall, this is one of the better stadiums in the NFL. It's the 7th biggest. Number 6 would be Bank of America Stadium. Obviously, you can tell more of a generic stadium overall. Just kind of that double-decker row of seating. And it opened in 1996. It has a capacity of 74,867, which ranks at 6. But pretty bland stadium overall. Not much to it. If we were doing a overall stadium, just like aesthetic, this would be towards the bottom of the list. But it's number 6. It's the 6th biggest. Number 5 is a stadium that I think gets slept on a lot. In Power Field at Mile High Stadium, home of the Denver Broncos. Max capacity of 76,125. Opened in 2001. This stadium, I do like the exterior. I think it's a nice stadium. Overall, the interior is nice. It should be outside because of its location. This is a stadium that, it is somewhat fairly new, created in the 21st century, but it is a really nice stadium, I think, interior and exterior wise. And you can tell kind of how big it is just, through the massive look of it. One key feature that I really like about this stadium is they have the statue of the Bronco. That's pretty cool up there. Number 4 is the stadium that, has been getting a lot of hype recently. A really tough place to play, an Arrowhead Stadium with a max capacity of 76,416. Obviously home of the Kansas City Chiefs. Fun fact about this stadium, or crazy fact that it is, this stadium opened in 1972. It's a pretty old stadium, and obviously doesn't really have the great surroundings around it, but if you really do kind of look at the interior of the stadium, it's really nice. It's a really tough place to play, and Arrowhead is the 4th biggest stadium in the NFL. Number 3 is probably my favorite stadium in the NFL, AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys. Max capacity of 80,000. Obviously, this place opened in 2009. Jerry World, some people call it, just a massive stadium. Has that kind of like Death Star look on the outside, just kind of domed. It has a retractable roof. This is just a really nice stadium. The video board, it was kind of the first stadium to kind of put in that super big video board at its time. Just a really, really nice stadium. Jerry Jones did a really good job with this, and this is a very fitting place for the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, to play. Number 2 actually surprised me a bit is Lambeau Field in Green Bay, with a max capacity of 81,441. This is the oldest stadium in the NFL, I'm pretty sure. As it opened in 1957, there's been several renovations on this stadium. As you could tell, the upper deck, the 3rd deck up there was completely added on, and there were some other features added on. But overall, the stadium holds up. It's a nice looking stadium. I didn't realize that it was one of the biggest in the NFL, but it holds up to date still. It's a very intimidating place to play. Obviously, you have the Lambeau Leap, which is such a staple of that stadium. Really solid stadium, the 2nd biggest stadium in the NFL, and the biggest stadium in the NFL. They have hosted a Super Bowl. It is MetLife Stadium at 82,500 of the max capacity. For the Super Bowl, apparently they had 82,529, which, makes sense. You got some off-the-field stuff. But overall, this is the biggest stadium in the NFL. And, I didn't know this at first, but then you look around, you look at the stadium, it's pretty big. It's a pretty big Coliseum. Obviously, there could maybe be plans at some point to renovate it again or to maybe potentially move it. But it's the biggest stadium in the NFL. I think they should have went with a dome. They probably should have went with one of those super stadiums. But with this, you still have that outside effect. And 82,500 is nothing to smirk at. That is a big stadium. Obviously doesn't compete with like the Ohio State, Michigan's, Penn State's, and Texas like size stadiums that are over 100,000. But the biggest stadium in the NFL is 82,000 of a max capacity, and the biggest stadium in the NFL is MetLife Stadium.